what they do here. First and goal. Rodgers hangs in the pocket, throwing into a lot of traffic, and it's caught for the touchdown by.
And as always, you can follow us on Twitter at First and Goal Pod. Follow the guys. Jay is at UPJ33. Dave is at Steak and Cheese. And the fantasy wonder man himself, Dylan, is at Dylan Busby1. Email all your questions and comments to us at firstandgoalpodcast@yahoo.com, and you will make the show live during our mailbag segment. Again, that's firstandgoalpodcast@yahoo.com. And welcome everybody to another live edition of the First and Goal post-game show with me, your founder and producer, Jay Andrews, up in the UP. And as always, your host with the most down in Georgia, it's Dave.
What's going on, everybody?
What's up, my friendly furry friend? How are you doing? And I know, look, it seems funny that I am so perky right now, but a lot of this has to do with that I have been working on since about the halfway through the third quarter. I've been working on my story, my piece to write that I'm going to start right after the show, and I've had a few drinks, so it's making me
I'm sober as a bird.
I know, which is odd for you considering this game was terrible, because that was the only way I could keep doing anything and think straight was to have a few drinks.
Nope. I sat there and watched the whole thing. I was excited for what I want to know is why the hell Tim frickin' Boyle was getting first downs with this offense and Rodgers wasn't.
Because he's holding the ball. Oh, dude, it's so going to be in my article. But
yeah, Rodgers needs to self-reflect this week. A lot of this is on him, and they're like, "Oh, the offensive line." I'm like, there was at least 12 plays that Rodgers sat back there for 10-plus seconds and just didn't do
that third down,
anything.
That first drive of the game, and I tweeted out, and I know somebody thought they were being like slick and trying to tell me it was a bad take, and it's a fellow UP guy that I have a feeling I know who it is. When I see him, I'm going to slap him upside the head for trying to give me a hard time.
Why do you Ubers argue so much with each other? You guys should be getting along.
But, yeah, because I'm a transplant. They don't like us here. No, but he's actually a good guy. He's just giving me a hard time. I think I know who it is. But anyway, I really said it. That first drive on that third down, when he fumbled it, that's on him. That's selfish play that bothers the heck out of me with him. Because that play, like, after the guys got hands on him and he moved forward and seen that there was nowhere to go, you got to do the Manning-Brady dance and fall to the ground and end the play. Because there is a rule in the NFL that it's just like in the slide. If they determine that you're falling on your own accord, i.e. giving yourself up, even if the ball gets knocked out, the play's already dead because you're giving yourself up inside the pocket. The quarterback does have that option. We've seen it for years and years with Brady and Manning. There are times in that situation he was being selfish there trying to keep that alive and make a play when, dude, just punt the ball and don't screw your defense. He screwed his defense there. That's not being a team player. I hate that when he does that. He's better than that. We expect and should expect more from our franchise quarterback. He knows better than that. He's smarter than that. Shame on him. It's not a terrible take. It's the damn truth. Sorry, guys.
He held on to the ball too long. He went ahead and he audibled a couple of run plays to pass plays. I really felt like they did the same exact thing as the Chargers game. They went away from the run way too quick, and then they tried to go back to it, and it was working, and then they just went away from it. Like They had 3 chances to move the ball and at least eat some time off the clock before the first half. But they went 3 and out 3 different times in under 3 minutes. How? How are they that bad in the fact of I watch this offense operate just fine against Carolina. No problem. Atrocious. And then the need for wide receiver, I'm seeing, is more huge than ever. I'm watching, Geronimo, Kumaro, MVS,
here's what
Lazard
it is.
didn't
Here's
do
what
diddly
it is.
tonight.
Here's what it is. I said it in the offseason, Dave. Geronimo Allison needs to go. Let's see what Ryan Grant's got. Okay? Because honestly, Ryan Grant's best season is still better than what Geronimo Allison has put up. Okay?
Yeah,
and
it
they're
is.
about the same age, and actually his body type, unlike Geronimo's. See, this is the problem with Geronimo Allison, and now that this roster is built the way it is from the wide receiver corps. He's not the unique body type, and he's just a slow big guy. And they've got Lazard has taken his spot. He's a bigger, faster guy with more athleticism and more consistent. NVS, a bigger, faster guy that's not necessarily more consistent, but he's got youth in the fact that he's only in his second year going for him, whereas Allison is in his 5th year. Okay? So, like, and if I'm going to have a 5th-year guy that has been his most consistent year was cut short after like 4 games, and people are still hanging on to that, where in that 4 games he also fumbled, had a tipped ball that he should have caught, another fumble on 3rd down, regardless of the good plays. Those were these gotta-have-it games like this where you can't afford to have those kind of stupid F-ups, okay? I'll take Ryan Grant. Let's see what he's got. This is my problem. This is where I talk about, Dave, this is why I started pounding the table and why I have such respect and I bring up the Patriot way and the true Patriot way. This is another example. Did you watch the Patriot game today?
Yeah, I watched the Patriot Cowboys game.
That offense, honestly, Dave, that offense was worse the entire game than the Packers offense. Okay? And they still won. And their defense didn't play near as good as the Packers defense did until it hit that 25-plus minute mark, like I always said. It had a couple of F-ups, but like when it started to stagger, it was towards the middle of the 3rd quarter. And you're already on the field too long. Your offense has been going 3 and out, gave them a short field on the freaking 3-yard line. I mean, so, and yet the Patriots are 10-1 now, and the Packers are 8-3. And there's a commonality between all 3 of their losses. It has nothing to do with the record of the team they're playing. The commonality here is the defense and how stout the defense is on the team that this offense and Aaron Rodgers has to face. And it goes back to years and years with Mike McCarthy. It's the same thing. Well, again, I know this is football, Dave, but I always say football is just a microcosm of life, okay? And in life, I've been taught that if everything around a certain individual changes, and yet there's still the same issue, the issue isn't everybody around them, it's the individual. What's the one constant? Because we're talking about the issue here is not the defense. Defense has already shown it's definitely way better. I'm not putting any illness on the defense because, again, no defense, i.e. the Bears, are elite after the 25-minute mark, and especially the 30-minute mark, okay? It is what it is. It's football. Just that's the way it is. But, so we're talking about the offense. So what's the commonality?
I don't know.
Aaron Rodgers. Every time you look at the advanced metrics and then watch the tape of these games, 2015, 177 yards. What was it, like 31-6 against the Broncos.
Sounds about right. Yeah, they got shellacked.
It was either the week later or 2 weeks later that same season against the Panthers when they were on their historic run they ended up meeting, and those two teams met in the Super Bowl. Another stinker, right? The matchups for those 2 or 3 years when the 49ers and the Seahawks were both always like basically one was the 1 seed and the other one was basically should have been the 1 seed and just rolls through the playoffs, you know. He's the commonality. And because, look, I'm not going to give too much away because, like, I am going to write an article about this with a lot of this stuff in it. But, yeah, he's the commonality. And I am not disparaging his talent. To me, this is a choice and a mental thing that is easily fixed if he wants to. It's actually acting on the words he said at that press conference 4 weeks ago or 5 weeks ago. Okay? Because it sounded great. We praised him for saying it. But what we've seen on the field in the last 2 LA games tells you that he still isn't acting out the words that he said. Okay? And what I'm referring to, if you don't understand what I'm talking about, is the quote about I done all the stats, I don't care about it, I just want to win now. Well, these stinker games all have a commonality because if you really just didn't care about your stats, when you're down by 28 points, you would not take 34 seconds on a 40-second play clock to snap the ball and then dump it off to a check down guy when you're down by 24 points or 23 points. It doesn't matter at this point if you throw an interception. You're going to lose the frickin' ball if you try to matriculate the ball down the field and run draw plays and shit and little bubble screens. And, like, there becomes a point where being careful is actually exactly what the defense wants you to do. It's what they're going to allow you to do because it benefits them. And he's willing to do it because it's not going to hurt his stat line. This is a mental thing, and I am going to actually give credit to this. I fought it for a long time, but now that we have the stats and everything and I can go back and look it up, my wife is actually the one that has come up with this. So, and she does not look at stats. She's just what you would call a quote-unquote casual football Packer fan, and she's been saying this about him for years. And when you go back, review tape, look at the stats in these particular games and the commonality between them, I hate to say it, but she's kind of right. And it's really a choice. There has to be a choice at some point with Aaron Rodgers because when he starts, if he acts like that, that mentality will be infectious because he's the leader. He's the big dog. If he says, fuck it, we're going to lose anyway, excuse my language, sorry, I'm trying not to cuss anymore like this. But if he says, screw it, and just starts winging it down the field, well, maybe Davante Adams isn't jogging and looking for a flag while the ball is still 3 yards behind him in the air while he's getting some mild contact instead of trying to attack the ball in the air. Which, yes, that has to go with leadership. Attitude reflects leadership. Remember the Titans? It's a true statement. And I know that's early in the game, but that kind of crap right there, that's why I tweeted out early, like, nah, this is over. And it was the same thing in the LA game. But I had that feeling in the LA game for different reasons. This game I had high hopes for them because they were on a roll, and I believed in them, but, yeah. I've talked a long time, Dave. You're sitting there, and you're not saying nothing, so I'm sorry. I got on a roll.
You don't have to be sorry,
but I'm on a roll.
You don't have to be sorry. Hey, if you're feeling it, you're feeling it. I'm just at loss. I mean, but I'm trying to look at the glass half full instead of the glass half empty. I mean, it's not like
they're 8-3.
Yeah, it's not like we're 2-8 going 2-9. We're 8-3, still sitting at third seed in the in the NFC playoffs right now, and New Orleans and San Francisco both